From Spamtown, USA, Austin, Minnesota, this is the Austin Bruins Coaches Show. We break down the big hits, the spectacular saves, and the clutch goals with the men behind the bench. Get the inside scoop with exclusive insight, strategy, and stories from your Austin Bruins coaches. And now, here's your host, David Coyer, alongside Bruins Associate Head Coach Al Rooney.
We're nearing the halfway point of this Austin Bruins season, and the Bruins, well, they're on a bit of a tear, winning 6 of their last 7 games, including splitting with the Bismarck Bobcats this past weekend and holding a share of first place in the North American Hockey League Central Division. To break down this past weekend's events, it's another edition of the Austin Bruins Coaches Show. I'm the voice of the Bruins, David Coyer. Joining me this week, Associate Head Coach Al Rooney, who we always love having you on the program. Usually some of the highest viewed episodes that we see on the Austin Bruins YouTube channel. People just love hearing from you, Al. Thanks for joining us.
I'm sure. Yeah, thank you.
It was a intense weekend, I think, is probably the word I'll go with. A lot of back and forth between the two teams. 3-2 win Friday night, 5-4 loss on Saturday. Let's focus on the positives here first. Can you just kind of go over what positives the coaching staff saw this weekend against Bismarck?
Well, I mean, we're competing for first place against a tough team. So to come out on top on Friday, establish ourselves into alone in first place was a good step for the guys. Obviously, Solo played outstanding. Our power play continues to click, so there was plenty of positives. And again, if you're in first place in the division and near the top of the league overall, we're doing some things right. So. There's plenty of positives to glean, but obviously, the next night we'd like to close out the weekend and get the sweep. But it's a tough team on the opposite side of the rink there in Bismarck. So sometimes you got to tip your hat to your opponent.
First time that the Bruins had held sole possession of first place since the end of February, early March, when the Bruins beat the Bismarck Bobcats 1-0 here at Riverside Arena. You mentioned would have liked to close out the weekend there on Saturday. We got to look at that third period against the Bobcats. Two little bit of defensive breakdowns in the period that kind of eventually decided the game. What did you see out of those two plays?
Well, obviously it's they handled a moment where they came down. It wasn't just any particular player. There was multiple breakdowns on the ice. So. It's disappointing as a coach anytime you see breakdowns. You'd like to see somebody step up, another teammate step up, but they got some talented players over there. They're the defending champs for a reason, and if you make a mistake, good teams will make you pay for it. And unfortunately, they did. We made a couple of mistakes in that third period, and unfortunately, it didn't allow us to close out the game. And it's still early enough in the season where hopefully we can learn from that and move forward. They were high-intensity games. They were a lot of fun to be a part of. We got the split up in Bismarck. Bismarck gets the split here. So I don't think any of the games moving ahead either are going to be easy. They're highly contested, two evenly matched teams that I think we feel good about moving forward, obviously, with our group. But you have to handle particular moments. So that's something that we can focus moving forward on and learn and grow from there. And I think we'll get better from it.
11 combined penalties in that second period on Saturday. And I know for the Bruins, a lot of guys who are on the power play also play a lot of time on the PK. And that second period saw a lot of switches between 5-on-4, 4-on-4, 4-on-3, 5-on-3. I was struggling to keep up with it up in the press box. But with a second period like that where you don't even really have the opportunity to put some other guys on the ice to give guys a break because you're just constantly either on the power play or killing off penalties, how did that play a factor in that final frame on Saturday?
It certainly does play a factor. You're trying to keep guys engaged and involved in the game. When you get into a long run of special teams like we did in that second period, it does make it a little bit more difficult. you're trying to keep some of your guys fresh as well. I know we've had a point of emphasis here recently where we're trying to get other guys involved in other aspects of our game, especially on the penalty kill. Our penalty kill has been average at best lately. So that's something where we are trying to look at some new looks and some new personnel. Obviously, we can't overload that and just throw some guys fresh into the fire. But it is something that we're looking into moving forward. Now, having said that, that second period, it's tough to get into a rhythm with your lineup on those. But having said that, it goes both ways, so there's no excuses on our end. Both teams are dealing with it. And you're going to run into stretches like that at times, and you got to overcome it, and you have to have guys that step up. And I think it's something that our special teams, our power play especially, has been fantastic this year. Has been fairly consistent. Our PK has been inconsistent. So that's where we got to get to work on that so that those moments don't affect us as much as they have.
You mentioned the PK there. 5 of Bismarck's 7 goals this weekend coming on the power play. In the last 5 games, Bruins have allowed 7 power play goals on 29 chances. On the positive side of things, another shorthanded goal this weekend coming from J.J. Francischetti, league-leading 12. What have you seen from the penalty kill lately, and what have you kind of been focusing on to try and improve how the PK's been performing?
Well, with the penalty kill, it's almost a similar vein in the sense that, for the most part, I think our schemes have been good. It's just it seems like every time we have a breakdown that it ends up in the back of our net.
Sure.
And it's frustrating. It's frustrating as a coach, frustrating for the players. I know we've been putting some extra work into it. We're staying positive about it, and I think we're in a good spot heading into this weekend against Watertown, who have a very tough power play. And if you actually look at the stats this year, I think the power play percentages are up this year, and the overall as a league, and the PKs have been struggling this year a bit. So certainly not an excuse on our part.
Mm-hmm.
Our bar is set where we want to be amongst the league leaders and be elite. Right now, we're not getting that done, and that's something that we're going to continue to strive for, and just try to find guys that are going to be willing to play hard and heavy in the right moments and block some shots. And we have a lot of skill on our team, and that's why we have such a good power play. But when you're overloaded with skill, there's not a lot of skill involved in the PK. Mm-hmm. It's hard and heavy. It's being gritty. It's blocking shots. So, but I think in the long run we're going to be just fine. Again, on the positive side, our PK has been dangerous and has won us a couple of games with some goals. But it's certainly something that we're trying to stress moving forward is to improve on that end.
You know, you mentioned the high power play percentages across the league, and I think a thing I've noticed is there's been a lot more high-scoring games in the league. I mean, you look at the Bruins themselves. I mean, Saturday was the first time this season that the Bruins have scored 4 or more goals and actually lost a game. I mean, there's been a lot of high-scoring games that the team has seen. Has the defense style just kind of shifted across the league? Have you guys noticed, or have there just been more offensive prowess players out there that you've noticed in this league, or is it just kind of a freak of nature?
I would probably say it's a bit of a blip on the radar.
Sure.
Things are going to kind of ebb and flow over the course of seasons and such. So I certainly can't put my finger on the pulse of exactly why it's happening. I got my hands full with what we're trying to do here. Not as worried about the league. I'll see the trends throughout the league, but it's something where our PK, as I've said, we're trying to be amongst the league leaders. It's something that we strive for. We don't become obsessed with stats. We want to, focus on execution and performance and results. But at the same time, when you're trying to set that bar, it is something that we noticed. And Robbie and I have discussed it, and the landscape of junior hockey has changed the past year or two. Is that affecting it? I don't know. But it's certainly something that has been noted.
Sure. One big story from Saturday, about an hour before the game, both coaching staffs found out that the referee who had ref Friday night's game was not going to be there Saturday, so it was going down to a 2-man crew. I mean, we already knew there was a lot of tension coming out of Friday night's game, and this might have been the boiling point going into Saturday. How does the coaching staff handle communicating that with their players and kind of just trying to make sure to emphasize to keep their emotions in check when there's an opportunity for things to kind of get out of control.
Yeah, it's something where it certainly has to be acknowledged and addressed with the players. Going from that one ref and two linesmen to two linesmen empowered to make calls, it's an extra set of eyes that can make calls. It also might be guys that aren't familiar with making calls, so we basically told them, in a sense, it doesn't change the fact that we're really just focused on executing our game plan, minimizing the damage caused by our opponent's game plan. The refs can't factor into it too much. We gotta play the game regardless. So it wasn't really a huge factor. It was something that we were aware of, and as you said, I think the emotions were running high because there's a lot at stake. It's two teams battling for first place, and it's two teams that for the past several years have perennially been, top teams in this division. So it's going to get heated, but. Again, as a staff, we're trying to keep our guys just focused on the task at hand, keeping their, riding that fine line of bringing the emotion, but not letting it, overflow into causing us trouble. And I think the guys, for the most part, handled it well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, a lot of history between these two teams, battled it out in the Central Division final. Last year, Bismarck ended up going on and winning the Robertson Cup. The next time the Bruins and Bobcats see each other, it'll be in Bismarck in January, and then second last weekend of the season. So a lot of potential. That series could really have some playoff implications, or
could be a lot at stake.
Some season implications there in that game. One line I want to focus on that's been performing very well: Gavin Haruza and the Marshanock twins. There'd been some experimentation with that line, moved E.J. Paddington back to that line, but right before the Minot series, put Gavin back on that line, and man, it's been working. I mean, they combined 14 goals, 28 assists, 42 points over the last 5 or 6 games. We've seen Simon just won first star of the week this week. Simon and Gavin were second and third star last week, respectively. And what's really been clicking on that line? Obviously, we've seen a lot of production out of the Martianocks, but we've really seen Gavin Haruza start to pick things up as the season's gone along.
And I think that's it. I think Gavin, at the beginning of the season, when the Twins were really producing, I think he was certainly a part of their production. He wasn't ending up on the box score. There'd be a turnover. He'd make a nice play to get him out of the zone. There'd be a turnover in the neutral zone. They'd poke it off of someone's stick. They'd go down and score. So, Gavin would make a play but wouldn't necessarily end up on the score sheet. So after a few weeks of that, like I said, we experimented moving him around to see if we can get some production. It didn't work. We got him back there, and since then he's exploded. I think that's a product of a couple things. One, if you're playing with the Twins, they're fantastic players. They have speed, they have skill, they have vision. But he's a guy that supplements them well and can kind of slide in there. He has enough skill to help make them make plays. This year he's grown to his game a bit where he's not afraid to go below the goal line or go on the wall and win some battles, go to the front of the net. And he's got similar vision, so he can kind of read off of them and get to pockets, open areas of the ice where they can find them. So he's been a good match for them. It's been nice to see, and obviously it allows us to have more depth of scoring when you can add an element to their line. And then when you have Lipset, Coleman, and Paddington as another line, and you got Day producing, and so it's starting to come together. But that line of Haruza and the Martianocks is really is a threat, because if teams focus on that, then the other lines are able to step up. So it's been real helpful both for a team, for us to accomplish our goals that we want, but it's also been nice to see them explode, and hopefully it'll help them accomplish their personal goals as well.
The Austin Bruins back in town this weekend hosting the Watertown Shamrocks, who for the first time in their team history are in a playoff spot, currently fourth in the North American Hockey League's Central Division. Puck drop Friday and Saturday, 7:05 right here at Riverside Arena, or you can watch over on the Bruins Media Network on NATV. It's Swifty night on Saturday, and I know the gentleman to my left is probably pretty excited about it being Swifty night, a huge Swifty, Al Rooney. But we're not going to – don't worry. The last time you were on here, it was right after she released her album. I talked with you about Taylor Swift last time. I'm just bringing it up this time. We don't have to go in depth with it. We're actually going to focus a little bit more on the Watertown Shamrocks who are coming in. And they've been red hot as of lately, and that's how they've gotten into that fourth place spot in the Central.
They have swiftly moved up the standings.
Look at you. But we've got to shake it off.
Try the veal.
8-2 in their last 10 games. Oh, I love having you on here, Al. 8-2 in their last 10 games, including a weekend sweep here at Riverside Arena against the Austin Bruins. What's been clicking? What makes Watertown so dangerous that you guys have seen?
I gotta say, they're a well-coached team. Casey Curley's done a real good job. Even last year, the second half of the year, they weren't getting a ton of results, but they were always a tough out. They're a very well-organized team. They play hard. They're tough. They work hard. They're not easy to play against, and they're opportunistic. And they've gotten good goaltending. But when you play a well-organized team that can get a lead, it gets tough to score on. And some teams have taken them lightly earlier in the year. And like I said, the biggest thing for me is they're well organized, they're opportunistic, and they have enough skill that when they get their opportunities, they can burn you. So we got our hands full this coming weekend. We got a tough week of practice ahead of us, and we got to get back in the win column.
As I mentioned last month, swept the Bruins here at Riverside Arena, but that was kind of in the middle of that little bit of a lull. The loss to Aberdeen, lost 3 straight, including those 2 to Watertown, but then when Bruins hit that Minot series, things have really picked up, winning 6 of the last 7 and keeping that close one there on Saturday. With this almost different-looking Bruins team compared to Watertown, how do these two teams really match up, do you think?
Well, it's what we always like to say is we have a lot of skill on this team, but we got to just always make sure that we're working hard. And when we work hard, our skill can overcome a lot of things. So if we can match the other team's work ethic, then that's when the skill can tip the balances. But if we go into games just thinking we can skill our way out of it and into a victory, that's when we get into trouble. So the emphasis is to work harder than our opponent and they'll let the rest take care of itself.
Absolutely, and we'll see that in action this weekend. Again, 7:05 puck drop Friday and Saturday. You can always get your tickets early at tickets.austinbruins.com or head over to one of our ticket vendors to get your Flex tickets. Flex tickets good for any Bruins home game except Paint the Ring Pink. That's Jim's Marketplace, Hy-Vee here in Austin, and games people play. Saturday, Swifty Night. Dress as your favorite Taylor Swift era. We'll have a friendship bracelet making station, a couple of fun videos that we made with players and maybe even a coach, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And, of course, just listening to some great Taylor Swift music all night long on Saturday. And currently dropping Tuesday earlier this week, we have our gold alternate jersey auction happening over at Dash. You can bid on those jerseys. They were debuted last year, saw some pretty fun moments. I mean, Alex Lorenza winning in overtime against New Mexico in the showcase. First time those jerseys ever made an appearance.
Those are great jerseys.
And then the month after, an overtime winner here at Riverside Arena against St. Cloud. Bruins had a couple of good wins in the playoffs wearing those gold jerseys. And do you think we'll see the gold jerseys rock this weekend?
I don't know. That's a good question.
We might have to because the jersey auction closes this Sunday, 9 p.m. So make sure you get your bids in over at Dash before time runs out. A great last-second Christmas present.
Indeed.
A great last-second Christmas present that you can get a piece of Bruins history. But the Bruins and the Shamrocks this weekend, you can watch those games on the Bruins Media Network on NATV. Another great conversation with our associate head coach, Al Rooney. We'll see you in another month and a half because Steve likes to, be on here a little bit more. So
wonderful.
And we've got to get Robbie some, reps here on the Coaches Show.
Let the little tights shine.
But we always love having Coach Rooney here on the Bruins Coaches Show. For Coach Rooney, I've been David Coyer. You've been watching another edition of the Austin Bruins Coaches Show right here on the Bruins YouTube channel. Have a great week, everybody.